Welcome to Unlearning, where we go behind the curtain for an insider's perspective on the theater industry, break down the buzzworthy conversations on social media, and challenge the stigmas that hold us back. I'm Veronica Stern, and together, we're unlearning and redefining what it means to thrive in the business. Now, it's time to rewrite the script. Hello, wonderful people of the world, and welcome to the Unlearning podcast. Today, we have a guest who I did Anastasia the musical with on tour, but not for very long. So she was a swing on Anastasia, and then she was in the ensemble of Aladdin on tour. She understudied Princess Jasmine, and then recently, in September of 2024, she made her Broadway debut in the ensemble of Back to the Future on Broadway. Her name is Lizzy Legregin. Did I say that right? Okay. I practiced, you guys, for like the last 5 minutes, which when I say it like that sounds really not like a long time. Anyways, you guys, our conversation is really interesting. I loved getting to talk to Lizzy about being a swing since I haven't experienced that yet. I loved hearing about Aladdin, and I got to ask her about her Broadway debut. So you are not going to want to miss this conversation. Before we get to that, though, this is my first episode that I am filming since launching Unlearning, and you guys, I have been so appreciative of the love and the support that I have gotten on all the podcast clips. I love seeing your comments. My goal for this podcast is to be a place for people that love theater, that are in the theater world, that are maybe struggling, to listen to conversations between friends and colleagues and people in the industry, and get to know a little bit more about the ins and outs of this crazy theater world. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, follow me on Instagram, all of the good stuff, because we have only amazing things in store. Without further ado, here is my conversation with Lizzy. You were a swing on Anastasia. You were on the tour when it reopened, right? Like, you were a part of that, like, reopening cast.
Right out of COVID, pretty much.
So what was that like, right out of COVID? I assume that was, like, the first thing you did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so for, like, the audition process, it was all virtual mostly. Like, I sent in EcoCasts, and then just for the final callback, we went in person. It was, like, the first time that I was going back to New York post-pandemic, pretty much, and I think we had to have a negative test to go to the partnering callback in person, come in with masks.
Yep. You had to audition in masks?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah, because it was all partnering and lifting too. And then if we were singing, they're like, you can remove your mask if you're comfortable.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, like, were you trepidatious about going on the road during that time? Was it your first tour? Like, what was your like mindset like when you got the job?
It was my first tour, and I had never done a cruise. I know, like, a lot of people before touring will have cruise experiences, and for me, I'm such a homebody, and like I stayed home and commuted to school, so I had never left my home, so I was very apprehensive about going on tour.
Whoa.
And it was never really a goal of mine, but I knew that when the opportunity presented itself, I couldn't let it pass me by. So I was definitely apprehensive of just like leaving my home for the first time and living on my own to start. And then you add the layer of the pandemic, which was just a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm also someone who's like a major germaphobe. So it was like very much an anxiety-filled era for me.
Amy, she was also a swing on the tour. She was telling me that it was a really hard tour to swing because it was so dance heavy. But I remember her saying that one good thing is that, like, a lot of the dances were, like, mirrors of each other. Yes. So, like, if you were on for one person one day and they were on, like, stage right, on stage left, it was, like, similar dancing. Like, what was your experience like taking on that swing role as, like, a dance swing?
It was my first time ever swinging, so that was interesting. But definitely coming from the dance background, I think it helps because I choreographed throughout my college career, and, like, knowing how moving through space works, I feel like it was really good for my brain. Opposed to like more of my friends who were the singer tracks too. Yeah. I was like, wow, this must be so crazy. But I'm used to like choreographing pieces and like writing outlines of like basically like football floor plans or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So that was great. Like I knew how to do my note taking. And it was a particularly great show to swing because it was so mirrored and
Symmetrical.
even symmetrical. Yeah,
Interesting.
for sure.
So when you got the call that you were going to be a swing, were you like, oh my God, like, what is that? Or did you know? Or were you like, was it very like taunting to be like, oh my God, I'm about to swing on a national tour?
I knew what it was. It was definitely daunting because throughout my career, something that I really struggle with as a dancer growing up was retaining choreography quickly. And so the thought of having to be thrown into the show and not prepared for which track that I was going to do was like, I can't believe I'm handed this opportunity right now, because this is one of the most challenging things for me as a dancer.
Whoa.
So, I mean, I was up for the challenge, but I was very nervous about that because growing up, that's where like I would struggle. Like there would be blanks in my mind and in putting choreography together. So I was really nervous that I was going to either like rise to the occasion or like not do well at all. Thankfully, it ended up going really well.
Yeah, I mean, you were on the tour for like a long time, and then they asked you to come back when like random things came and went. So, okay, I just realized we probably should have said what a swing is. So do you want to like explain what that is?
Yeah, so if you know what an understudy is, they will cover a role for the principals, and then swings basically cover the whole ensemble. So if someone is injured, ill, or going in for their understudy track, you bump into that ensemble track.
It's one of the hardest jobs, I think.
It's pretty crazy.
How many tracks did you end up learning at the end of your time?
So on contract, I covered 6 total, but my focus was on the 4 dancer heavy tracks. But I was required to know all 6 female tracks.
Right. And so all 6 female tracks, meaning like these are roles where it's like one person's on this end of the place and the other person's on this end. And like, I wonder what was like the hardest thing about being a swing. Because I know I've heard like certain things, but I'm wondering like from your point of view, like what was it?
I think the hardest thing is one, trusting yourself, which is the first step, but then like you have to trust your own brain in the moment to be able to perform, because the battle is like you're thinking so much about what your next steps are, because it's not second nature to you. You're not doing that track every single night. So like having the ability to get out of your head and push into performance mode while still like actively thinking about every move that you're making.
When you went on, was there ever a time when, because I know for me, after a certain point you slip into autopilot, right? So when you're a swing, does that ever happen? Or is it just like, it's just too high stakes of a position, like there's no room for like autopilot?
There's not as much room for autopilot. I think for certain tracks, if I had done one a significant amount, it became more comfortable. But even so, you have all the other tracks in mind, so you have to make sure that you're staying focused into that one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's easy to like slip in, like if you're like thinking you're going to a location and you're like, wait a second, that's not this track. I'm not going to that dance partner. I'm going to this dance partner.
And in Anastasia, we always used like F1, F2. And when I first got there, I found that to be really confusing, because I was like, how am I supposed to know who F1 is? Like their name and da-da-da-da. And it's funny because then when I did Les Mis, they didn't use F1, F2. They used people's names.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. So even like when a person left, it was always just still like
the original cast member's name?
Yeah. So it was like Jeff. And you're like, who is Jeff? And they're like, oh, Jeff was like the person that originated this role like 5 years ago. And they weren't on tour anymore, but we still call their track Jeff. So I was like, just use F1, F2. Like now I kind of miss it.
Yes.
So
that is confusing.
It's super weird. So after Anastasia, you were on tour for like what? Like basically a year, right?
Basically a year, 11 months. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. My God, bless you. You went almost straight into Aladdin on tour.
Well,
actually, no,
I didn't. I had about a 7-month period between.
Okay.
Which was good. It was definitely just like a dry period in I was auditioning the whole time, but I think it was just really interesting to see like theater in general is still recovering from the pandemic. And I think there's just not as many jobs regionally or even in New York too. So I think touring was the big thing because people were able to be in control of it and they figured out a way to make it work. And then everyone else was kind of still dealing with financial burdens. So anyway, all to say that auditioning was very different coming out of the pandemic, because then it was like 2022 at that point. But anyway, so I was just auditioning and living at home. So I had a good period of time. And when I finished Anastasia, I was like, I'm never going on tour again. Like, that was not for me.
Wait, me and you are literally the exact same. I
That
literally
was
had the
not
exact
for
same,
me.
exact same statement. I was like, I will not be going on tour ever again. And then like 7 months
And
later.
then both of us. Yep. So, I think the only way that I was able to recover was having that longer period of time, though.
Yes.
Because by the end of it, I was like, okay, I just want to work. Honestly, I don't care what I do. I'm starting to be open to touring again. I was so like desperate for a job.
Right.
And then Aladdin kind of fell into my lap in a way. I had been auditioning for Aladdin probably 3 or 4 separate occasions.
Right. Aladdin is one of those shows where it's like you are kind of just waiting for the role to open up, you know?
Right. So I had been in for them a couple of times, and I had done Jasmine material for them too. And then this track became available for an immediate replacement for an ensemble member to cover Jasmine.
Oh my gosh.
So I went in for an invited call for that, and it was very small. I want to say there was like 10 girls there.
That's kind of a nice feeling, though.
It was nice. It was chill.
Because then it's always just like nice when it's like that, because you have a little bit of a hope. There's like hope, you know?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And funny enough, Maddie Kendall was there, and also Talia.
Oh my! So these are other 2 girls from Anastasia
family.
Yeah, the Anastasia to Jasmine pipeline.
Through line. Yeah, it's there. So that was fun because we knew each other. It was like chill vibes.
Yeah.
We danced. They made a cut. We sang. They made a cut. And then there was only 3 of us.
While you were there?
While we were there. And there was only like 10 of us to start. So then there was only 3 of us.
Oh my God, they meant business.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they were getting it done. And then they said, okay, we're going to have the 3 of you come back tomorrow, and we're going to do everything that we did today and put it on tape for our head creatives.
Right.
And then came back the next day, did it all on tape, everything exactly the same. And then I think it was like 3 days later, I got an email.
And they were like, join
They're
tour.
Like, here's your offer, and you'll join the tour in 4 weeks if you accept. Yeah, so quick.
Whoa.
Because it was like immediate replacement.
So what went through your mind? Were you ready to go back on tour at that point? I know you said that like by the end of the 7 months, you're like, just put me in anything. Or were you like hesitant? Were there like questions running through your mind? Like when you got that email, what was your immediate reaction?
I was really excited because Aladdin had been a dream of mine for so long.
Yeah.
I just love the whole soundtrack and the dancing I connected with from when I first saw it in New York. I saw it like, I think when I was a junior or senior in high school.
Wow.
So I had loved it since then. It was always a bucket list of mine. And I think I was just a little shocked of like, I can't believe, okay, I'm going on tour, and just like resetting and like buying new luggage and ready to pack up my life and be like, okay, my whole lifestyle is flipping again.
Right.
But
you knew what to expect this time,
yes.
Right? So there was like, at least for me, when I went on tour again with Les Mis, there was the element of like, and I don't know if it was better or worse that I knew what to expect. What do you think?
I think it was better.
You do?
Emotionally, I could prepare myself.
Okay.
And there were certain things.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like everything about touring is so anxiety provoking because especially with Anastasia, it was like 2 to 3 locations in 1 week.
Right.
Thankfully, with Aladdin, we were never anywhere less than a week.
Right.
But every time you go to a new location, you have to find a grocery store, maybe a restaurant that you like to go to. So just the element of finding food, survival. And then it's like setting up your home in your hotel room. And I was like, this time I brought like stuffed animals, picture frames of like pictures of my family. I was like, I need to make myself feel more comfortable and at home in my space. And just knowing like, okay, every time I go to a new place, I'm going to have to find this, achieve this. And so I think that helped. I think it was just like jarring the first time I was thrown in.
Totally. And because you didn't know what to expect, and because like people don't really talk about touring. Like, I remember I was like scouring the internet. I was like, what is a tour? What is it like? I don't know. Because you grew up in Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you have any awareness of like, I always ask this question, but like, did you know what a tour was?
No, and I feel like you probably have a similar thing being so close to New York.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to college, because I went to school in Cincinnati,
Okay.
that I went to see a tour, and I was like, wait, what is this? Like,
yes.
So I had absolutely no idea.
Me either. It was New York, it was Broadway.
Right.
And then all of our friends from all over the world on tour, like
Right.
friends from Nebraska,
Yes.
Utah, they were like, oh, this is it. Like, this is how I fell in love with theater. I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really amazing that we were able to be that for people.
I know.
But yeah, I had no idea.
So you booked Aladdin, and now you're understudying Princess Jasmine.
Yeah.
What was the first time like that you got to go on for Jasmine? Like,
It was a while to go on. We had a very consistent, strong Jasmine.
Yeah.
Lamati, incredible.
Oh, yeah. I love her.
She's so fierce.
Yeah.
So she was very consistent. She rarely called out. So I had a good amount of time to
Good.
prepare.
Nice.
I had did my put in and everything. And then I had probably a couple months of understudy rehearsals thrown in there. So I felt well prepared. I
That's
had
nice.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I debuted in Syracuse, New York. Yeah, and my family was able to come. It was the closest that we were on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Being that the show was still in New York.
Mm-hmm.
It was so magical.
Yeah.
Like, just her blue costume is everything. Putting that on and putting on a tiara. I was never, I don't know, I don't think I ever played a princess before.
Yeah.
So it was just exciting.
On tour, does the carpet fly?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, how exciting.
It was so fun. Yeah.
And this time around, you were in the ensemble, so you weren't swinging or anything.
I was in the ensemble full time.
How was that compared to the experience of being a swing? Were you relieved, or was there different pressures? What was that like?
It was great. I loved getting to get comfortable into my own track and make it my own and put my own personality twist into my 3 lines that I had and things like that.
That's something I would never have thought about, that when you...
I was used to hearing how the cast did their Anastasia line, so it's kind of in your mind.
And did you feel pressure when you were swinging on to do it like that, to not quote unquote mess anybody else up? Because I would feel so much pressure to be I don't want to do it totally different, because what if this cadence is what somebody else is listening for?
Right, true.
I would feel really stressed.
Yeah, I think the outline was definitely there, and I did make it more of my own, but definitely you have that in your mind, and so when you're doing your own role, you get to do it however you want to do it.
Right.
So that was exciting, and a different stamina thing to learn of doing the show consistently 8 times a week, and Aladdin is physically demanding, so just making sure I was going to PT consistently. We had a PT full time on our tour, which was incredible. Or athletic trainer.
Yeah.
So just doing things to make sure upkeeping my
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
The fact that when you're a swing, you could go on as little as one time, as little as no times in weeks on end, or every single day. So what was that like when you had those if you had any of those longer periods of downtime during Anastasia? What was that like mentally and emotionally? I know that it can be really hard, especially on a tour, when it's you're kind of just going from city to city, and we can go to a whole city and you never see the stage.
True.
What
true,
is
true.
Is that?
I was fortunate enough for a period of time I was able to cover a track full time.
Yeah.
So there was a couple months that I was able to actually be on stage. So that was cool. And then coming off of it, I think because the schedule was so rigorous on our tour, I had been grateful for the downtime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was
yeah. That's fair. Actually, that's super fair.
I was and I had done it for a period of time where I was performing it full time, and the travel days were so frequent. And I was you know what? I'm excited to be a swing,
Totally.
and have my downtime. But
Totally.
it is hard because obviously you're away from your family and your friends to do this career and this specific job. And so you're well, I do want to do it while I'm here, and sacrificing so much.
Right.
But I did particularly enjoy swinging. I thought it was fun.
Really? Would you do it again?
I would do it again.
Really?
Yeah. I liked the challenge
Uh-huh.
and that it was always fresh.
That's something that I think is a really cool thing about being a swing is like truly, even if you are doing one track for like 4 weeks, like let's say something happens, it's still like it's not your permanent role. And like at any given time, like it could change. So I guess there is that like excitement of, well, we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah,
and that's something kind of fun about it.
And it's like that saving the day energy is really thrilling too.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to step in. I'm going to do it. Yeah. It's kind of fun.
Right. And then like at the end of the show, it's like, it's almost like superheroes, like in the movies where they're like wearing the glasses.
Yeah.
And like nobody really knows that you have maybe not done a track for like 6 months. And then you just like come, you do it. Everybody backstage knows it. And everybody's like cheering you on. But the people in the audience have no idea.
Yeah.
And they probably never will know. And so that's probably something kind of cool.
It's fun. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about your Broadway debut.
Yay.
You were in Back to the Future on Broadway,
Mhm.
which closed in January?
First week of January.
Okay. How long were you in the show for?
It was quite brief.
Uh-huh.
I started in September.
Okay.
I think I started rehearsals the first week of September
Uh-huh.
and I debuted September 17th.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you had like 4 months or
4-ish
so?
months, yeah.
Okay. Tell me about the audition process and then getting the call.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's like getting the Broadway call. What was it like?
So crazy. So I had just come back from Aladdin probably for 3 months. I was auditioning and it was my first time as an official union member too auditioning.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because I got my card through the Aladdin tour.
Right.
So I was kind of experiencing ECCs for the first time and just going to as many Broadway ECCs as I could. So I had gone in for their general dance and singer ECC recently because it had just come up in time.
Right.
And then a week after that, they were having an invited call for 2 replacements. 2 of their ensemble members were leaving who both understudied Jennifer Parker, who plays Marty's girlfriend.
Right.
So they had a bigger invited call for that. I got an appointment. They did all of the auditions and callbacks within that one singular day.
Oh my gosh.
So we started with the
Whoa.
dance. Yeah. We started with doing a section from It Works, which is like the fiery silver jumpsuit number. And then we also did a combination from Gotta Start Somewhere. So we did 2 dance combinations and then they made a cut. And in advance, they had given us the Jennifer packet material.
Okay.
So we danced, they made a cut. They asked us to come in and sing Jennifer's songs. One song really was for the audition. And then a sides packet because it was also for like one of the roles that I played was Betty. It was a little featured role. So she had a couple lines. So we had sides for that. So we went in and did that. They had us go wait. And then they had us come back. They're like, actually, could you guys just sing something from your book too? And we were like, okay. And they were like filming this all also.
Oh my God, that's like the nightmare situation for me because I always feel like they're like, make sure you have your book. Make sure you know all the songs in your book just in case you're like, okay, yeah, sure. And then they actually asked.
They're like, actually, could we just also hear something from your book? I'm like, what? You just heard me sing a whole song.
Oh my God. And you've been there probably for like
for
all
hours.
day.
Yeah, for hours. And so
Oh my
then
God.
they're like, okay, yes. We're going to do a partnering call now because there's extensive swing dancing.
This is all in the same day?
all in the same day. I think I was there probably for like 6 hours or something.
Also, if anybody didn't have the chance to see Back to the Future, it is so like
dance heavy,
so aerobic. I swear, like I was out of breath watching it.
Yeah.
Like I saw it, I think maybe like the first preview and I was like, there's no way.
It's nonstop.
It's nonstop and it's loud and it's like high energy and it's just like boom, 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 like number after number after number. Like that ensemble is working. I can't believe they made you like do all of that in one day.
Yeah. So we had to do the partnering call and they had their swing dance captain because there was like some swing dance technique. I had never done it before.
Yeah.
But so they had their swing dance captain and then two of their male presenting swings to assist us and do like some lifts and everything that day. And I think it was just six of us doing the partnering at that point. And I didn't know that they were casting 2 people at that time. But so when it came down to it, it was probably like 3 people and 3 people for these roles.
Wow.
But anyway, we finished the long day. And then the next day, I get an email from my agent. Not a call, an email.
Okay. These days, it's rarely ever a call.
I know,
like,
but I was
give
like,
me a call next time.
no, true. I was like, this is the moment I've been waiting for my whole life. Where's my phone call? So
and it's just like an email. You're like, yay.
I'm just like outside chilling on my front lawn in the grass reading.
Oh.
And the email pops up on my phone. It's like, title of the email, you will be getting the offer for Back to the Future B-Way. That's all it said. And I open it up and my agent's like, hey, so we don't have an official offer yet, but casting contacted us and just wanted to let you know at the start of the weekend, you're going to be getting an offer. But
Were you just like stopped in your tracks?
Yeah.
Because that would have made me spiral.
No, I have a video of myself. I like immediately started filming myself and I was like, no one was home. I have a big family. I have 3 sisters and I live with my mom and my dad and my sisters. But no one was home except for my mom and I was outside. So I was like, Mom, like screaming like, where's my mom? Like she needs to see this. But yeah, it was kind of vague. She was just like, you're going to be getting the offer. Like, congratulations. I was like, okay. So then I'm like celebrating, jumping up and down. But then we don't get the offer for another week.
No.
So then I'm panicking. I already started telling people and I'm like, I have nothing to show for this. Like, my mom's like, what if it falls through? I'm like, don't say that, please.
See, like, I'm like your mom. I'd be like, so
she was like, stop telling people.
I'm not going to tell anybody until it's in black and white.
Right. So it takes another week and then I get the formal offer via email. And then I'm like, yes, accept, send me the contract.
Right.
And then another week to get the contract.
God. That's excruciating.
Yes.
Wow.
And so between all that time, I think it was also about 4 or 6 weeks till I had to start. It was also pretty immediate replacement.
Yeah.
And throughout that time, I was also looking for an apartment in New York. I had never lived in New York before because I only commuted from New Jersey or was on tour.
So I don't know how far into New Jersey you live, but you just didn't like want to stay at home.
I'm pretty central. If people don't believe Central Jersey exists, but it does. But
it just wasn't going to be feasible.
You can commute, and people who like are business people do it.
Right.
It's just like at rush hour, at a good hour of the day, it takes probably an hour and 15 minutes to get in there, which is good.
Yeah.
But when it's rush hour, it's 2 hours or more.
Right. So it was just easier for you to just like be centrally located and you get out so late. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah,
continue with the story of the Broadway.
No. That's it. So, yeah, it would be easier to live there for what I was doing, working 6 days a week.
Right.
So it was my first like move to New York and trying to like organize all these things at once.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you find the apartment, you sign the contract.
Yes.
And then you start rehearsals.
I start rehearsals.
Was it like a standard like 2-ish week thing or was it like fast?
It was 2 weeks, but it was really fast. I feel like I had probably on Aladdin 3 weeks altogether. But for this, I started on a Tuesday, did a full week of rehearsals. Monday was the dark day. I did the following Tuesday and Wednesday. And then that Thursday was my spacing rehearsal with the cast on stage. So it's like at that point, you have to know it. You got to know where you're going. You're in traffic with everyone in the cast.
Right.
They're starting to bring in giant set pieces on the stage.
Yeah.
And then Friday was my put in full hair, makeup, tech, costuming, everything. And then I luckily had the weekend to rehearse a little bit more. And then that Tuesday I debuted. So exactly 2 weeks from when I started rehearsal, I was in the show performing full time. So it was really like less than 2 weeks of rehearsal in my opinion.
Yeah. Did you feel calm? Did you feel prepared? Or were you just like, my mind knows it or my body knows it? Some part of me knows this. And like, I'm just going to have to go out there and whatever happens, happens. But like tomorrow's a new day.
Right. Thankfully, our team was so supportive. Shout out to our dance captain, Gabby Stapula. Incredible. She taught me the majority of the show. And our associate, Beth, incredible. Dance people.
Yeah.
But they were so supportive. They said, we know that this is a huge ensemble track that we're throwing you into, because the track that I was replacing, she also had a lot of features. She was Betty, so she was one of Lorraine's best friends, so there were a couple extra scenes there.
Whoa.
We were also backup singers in the song Pretty Baby, which was an added thing.
Right.
So she just had a lot of extra little moments that if an ensemble member could be on stage, I was in the number. So like, we know this is a big task to throw at you. Like, you're doing great. Like, they were just so supportive.
Yeah.
So I was like, I am doing great, but
Do you think that the swinging during Anastasia helped you at that moment?
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like they definitely saw that on your resume. Like, okay, we can throw this girl
Yes.
in. She knows how to just cover it all and do it quickly and think fast.
Yes. And even so many things like lining up to it, I was like, wow, like all of these things have prepared me for this moment. Even like just as simple as being a replacement in Aladdin. I had never joined a cast as a replacement. Such a different experience.
Oh,
so
yeah.
And I was like crashing and burning when I was doing it on Aladdin. So I knew what to expect. I'm like, okay, I need to stay up till 2:00 in the morning studying every number.
Why were you crashing and burning?
Of like, I just was struggling to pick up things so quickly.
Okay.
And it's so different learning a show that's already up and running.
I didn't think about that because I was the replacement during Anastasia.
Yes.
So like that's now what I'm used to.
Right.
And it's funny because I feel like, and I think this is what you're going to say, I don't mean to step on you, but when you started Anastasia, there's all this time to like develop it and learn it and da-da-da-da-da. But then when you're a replacement, they're just like, girl,
This
like
is it.
it's already going.
Yeah.
The train is moving, like jump on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Exactly. For Anastasia, also being a swing, great for me. I'm a pretty visual learner, so I got to sit behind the table the whole rehearsal process and just take notes and watch, see all the pictures. And even though I had seen, skipping forward, Aladdin years ago,
Right.
I didn't know the formations anymore, that
Right.
the pictures that we were creating. So we were just in the rehearsal studio. She's like, you're going to go to number 4, then number 6, downstage of this, upstage of this. But I couldn't picture what the set was in my mind. I didn't have the people in the space to see. It was just me and the dance captain.
Wow.
So I found that to be a real challenge because, like, I don't understand where I am in space. Like, I know I'm supposed to go to 4, but like depth-wise, it was very confusing to me. But anyway, having had that experience in Aladdin, I was like, I know what I'm launching myself into, learning Back to the Future. So I knew what I had to do for myself mentally, note-wise, study-wise, the questions I wanted to ask the dance captain. I knew it for this.
So let's just go back to your Broadway debut for a second. What was your vibe? Like, what were you thinking on that day? Were you just trying to take it all in, or were you overwhelmed with everything? And I kind of want to go back to like, that's only happens once in your life. So what was it like?
I think I was just really excited. Being that the majority of my friends and family are from New Jersey, a lot of people got to come and support me on the day of my debut, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I felt like a crazy person on stage because it was only my second time doing the full thing.
Right.
But I really tried to take time to soak in certain moments. And there was a really special moment right before the top of show. Marty starts the show downstage, like kind of in Doc's lab area. And so there's like these 2 flats and the full ensemble we're just backstage as the scene's happening.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so we're all chilling, like warming up, and our dance captain got us together and like made a circle and was like, we just want you to know, Lizzy, that we support you so much. Like, we thank you for all of the hard work that you've done these last 2 weeks. And I was like crying. And I'm not really someone that cries too much, but to know that she was just saying that they appreciated me and that they were all so excited. They all like put their hand on my back. They're like, you got this. And then
so sweet.
It's like the coolest moment because the 2 flats, like he says like rock and roll, and it's like a big guitar strum, and then the panels push open and we all charge through like the full ensemble. And I was like, and I literally charged down to like center stage, like in this circle of we're like pumping everyone up, and I'm center stage on Broadway, and that was my first moment there.
Wow.
Yeah. So that moment I remember beforehand was really special, of like everyone being there for me and like really supportive. Such a supportive cast. And yeah, and then my whole family was able to be there too. So getting to celebrate after.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh. So there's one question that I ask everybody that comes on the podcast in season 1. We'll see if it happens in season 2. What does success look like to you now that you've have like these 3 massive shows under your belt? And how has that changed since maybe when you graduated college in 2019 and you didn't know anything yet?
Mm-hmm. What is success to me now? I think success to me, number 1, is being happy. And in this career, there's so many ebbs and flows and changes, and literally with every contract, you're reinventing your career. It's daunting, and you have to start over from scratch every time. Even though I just made my Broadway debut, I'm like, I'm unemployed, I'm back to square one, I'm reinventing myself. But just moving forward, just knowing like, okay, as long as I'm still happy and still wanting to do this and chase after this, that's number 1 for me. Something interesting, which I feel like I'm veering off a little bit, but I thought something interesting to note is that having done my Broadway debut, that everyone makes such a big hype and deal over it. Like people come out of the woodworks and are like, you did it, you made it. But it was interesting to me how being on tour or even doing regional work, you're still doing a show 8 times a week and you've been doing the thing. It felt the same, you know? It felt exactly the same. I'm like, oh, we're just like playing around and doing our show every night. 8 times a week. We're still doing like our between show naps, you know? And it's like, it's just the regular. And I think that everyone should be so proud of themselves with any job that they book. Being able to get that job is such a feat, to be a working performer. And we're all doing the same exact thing. And once you get to the professional level, it's all like truly, truly amazing work. So I just wish that people from the outside could like break that stigma of like, you haven't made it yet unless you're working on Broadway in New York. But it obviously was incredibly special to like say that I did it and to do it and just to be here. And I think was significant for me because that is where I grew up, like going to see things. And for my community of teachers and instructors and loved ones who have helped me my whole life, were able to come be there and celebrate with me in that moment. But yeah, so to me, success is just being happy and doing what you love. So as long as you're finding the joy in what you're doing, that's most important.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to talk about really quick, you started a dance coaching business. So tell me a little bit more about that and like what it's all about. Yeah.
So during the pandemic, I started doing some virtual private dance training and then coming out of it as well. But I always loved teaching. Well, I went to college for dance, so I got a Bachelor of the Arts in Dance Performance. And so my training through that was like ballet, modern choreography, improvisation, all of that. So one of my future down the line goals is to be a dance teacher full time and teach
You would be the best dance teacher. You're so patient.
Thanks. I have a lot of passion for it. So the goal would be to teach dance in public schools and have like a normal life eventually.
Interesting.
But I really, really love teaching and just coming from a style of coaching that's very supportive and about finding the joy. And I feel like there's a lot of coaches that get aggressive with things. And I just very much wanted to be a safe space. So I really love teaching. And I've been working with a lot of private students in the past who are preparing for college auditions. So that's kind of like the market that I'm wanting to launch myself into.
Nice.
I've worked with a couple of singer actors who necessarily didn't have dance training, but now with all the programs, you have to do a ballet audition. You have to do a pre-screen dance reel.
Wow. Oh my God.
So what I worked with them is kind of like an hour private of splitting between a ballet bar warm-up and then also a jazz center warm-up and some choreography. And then if they needed to put together choreography for a dance reel, I would do that for them. And we rehearse and work on technique and all of that. So just hoping to get more clientele there.
What is the name of the business?
It is titled Presence.
Good. And should we like follow you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Or is there a website?
Yeah, you could go to my personal Instagram. It'll link to my business one probably. But my Instagram is Lizzy Marie Legregin. And then there's a little post on there pinned that says Presence. And my TikTok is Lizzy Marie Leg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slay. Those will be on the screen, everybody. So make sure you go and follow.
Yay.
Lizzy, I can't tell you how wonderful this conversation was. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so good to talk to you.
Yay.
And we will see you all next time.
Thanks for having me. Yay.
Thank you so much for watching my conversation with Lizzy. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please be sure to follow me on Instagram at Veronica Stern and on TikTok at ThatMixedChickNYC. And we will see you all next time. Bye. Perfect.
Woo-hoo!
Oh my gosh, that was so good.